أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده وبعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I would like to take this opportunity to first of all thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to choose me from many to stand in front of you. I would like to also technically thank my senior Hajat Khadija, Hajat Zaitoon, and all the executives of PAM professional counselors. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh once again. I was tasked to discuss marriage as a solution to immorality. I thought it wise to give this preamble, maybe introduction to this topic in a minute. Abebitiwa, let's first understand a human being. A human being in Arabic is literally known as al-insan. And the reason as to why he's termed, or maybe she is termed to be al-insan, the Arabs are like li'unsihi. It's because what makes you a human being is your ability not to live alone. And that's why if you behave immorally in a society, you're jailed up. If you also misbehave in jail, you're celled up in one cell, you alone. To a human being, that alone is torment. We were not designed to live alone. And literally, I normally see young girls, maybe, and young men, nayogera nongataswala. And maybe they are like, I'm single and I'm contented. Psychologically, you're sick and you're giving evidence to yourself that you're sick. You can never be contented and you're single. Because what makes us human beings is at least to have another human being with you. It might be a father, it might be a mother, it might be a parent, it might be your spouse, or maybe. But you must be with someone. That's the point of it. And as I was trying to analyze that, I was like, if you're a child to someone, at some point, you're going to get away from them. If you're a brother to someone, at one point, your brother is going to marry and maybe you'll stay alone as a sister. Or maybe if you're a sister to someone, at one point, that sister will get married and you'll still stay alone. That's why we have the door of marriage. Because our Creator knew the fact that you cannot live properly on earth alone. That's why the door of marriage is there. At least you choose someone you're going to live the rest of your life with. And this is marriage. Now I understand very many people are having different definitions of marriage. And this is where I get confused a lot. Since when did we try to take definitions of marriage from a divorced person thrice? Since when did we learn to get a definition of marriage from a guy who has never been patient to at least have a female under him? And I was smiling and I was just enjoying. This is the very example of people that deserve microphones to address us. Talking to us, 20 years in marriage, with our mama here. Hajat Zaitoon is there with the husband, proudly happy. And you're looking for advice, Oliku TV, kumuntu, who has never been respected, okumuwa kumahari, just for once. And they're giving you advice in marriage. Don't you really think you're being unfair to defining marriage? Because by default, if someone is being wedded today, they have their definition of marriage. If someone is going through a divorce, by default, they have their own definition of marriage. If someone has spent 20 years, 10 years in marriage, by default, they also have their own definition of marriage. The problem is to try to categorize those different categories of people with their own respective definitions, and you try to wear it as a non-married or maybe as a single. You're doing injustice to yourself. Watandika ddi okumanya omusajja we bamukwata amataayi ng'akubbye nga tomufunanga nako? Watandika ddi okumanya omukyala obuyaaye bwabwe nga ku myaka gyo toyina yali akuyise bba? Exactly, this is it. You're anonymously fearing something, you have not yet even given it a chance. Kati kyotukolera ye muntu agenda okukusisinkana n'ettabbu ye ey'ebirowoozo akusimbukiremu. Tannamanya nti gwe olina olutalo lw'ebirowoozo by'olina, naye alina olutalo lw'ebirowoozo by'alina. What are you going to make? Kati nammwe mulinze mbu after a year mwawukane mbu kitukolera amawulire. No, of course it won't. You're not even ready. You're doing injustice to your own self. And I wanted to give that introduction to clear our minds, not being biased with marriage. And thus marriage when it comes to the approach of Islam. There is no way a normal human being will ever find no sense in having someone being with them. Some of the signs and factors that show us that you're too bad is to have no one not actually accepting you, not having anyone that can bear your presence as a human being. You know what that means? It is okay oyina akasente ko n'omulimu okola oli wekka nno toyina nno bizibu, kozi gwe bakugamba nti abakyala ttabbu njereere nga naye bakugamba nti abasajja lunnabe. It is okay, but do you know ekyo kyokka ffe wetukulaba tuyinza obutagamba, naye wetukulaba nga weeyogerako nga all you're saying toyinaamu discipline ya kuwangala na muntu wiiki oba mwezi ne mwegumiikiriza, you're a very big and good definition of a bad partner, a bad person. Ekitufuula abantu ab'enjawulo is my wife okubaako n'ekintu kyagumira, kuba by default birina okubeerawo nga nange wenina okubaako nebyenkola ki nebyeŋŋumira. And I won't be like let me divorce her maybe naye aneeyambule just because alina kakoze eki kafunye. Ekyo kyokka kiraga if you have that discipline oli muntu wa buvunaanyizibwa nnyo and you're worth living with. You're a good definition of a person, and that's al-insan when it comes to the Islamic approach. Do you now see the relevancy of someone, everyone finding anyone, maybe someone? If you want to live well on earth, ku myaka emitono egiri ku dunia kuno ata 8 weefiire, just osira mbugamba nti find a partner. Kale omufunye ku 2-3 mufune emyaka 2 obeeko n'obulamu bwonyumirwa, owulire ekinyusi ky'okubeera omuntu. Taskunu ilaiha. Ekinyusi ky'okubeera omuntu is having someone with you. You don't even know the feeling that you will have when you're down. You can speak to someone. You don't just cry onto a pillow. Olwero kye batulimba nno mbugula dole n'obuyimba otuninga ka slow music kakuyimbirawo ng'enkuba weetonya bw'okwata Teddy Bear mbukati oli muntu mulungi. No, Teddy Bear weeri awo waliwo muntu gwe mulina okwogera naye, tonnamunoonya. You're too unserious to that level. Tonnamufuna kati oli busy onoonya dole. Kati tonnaba kumanya nti ekyo kyokka ekikusindika okugula dole to feel fine kyekimu ekirina okukusindika okufuna omuntu as mangu as possible. Tusaba Allah abeere nga atuwa entegeera ng'eyo. Now you can't call off immorality in a society that does not respect marriage. There's no way. If we are having people abatannaba kufuna that foundation nti omuntu yeetaaga muntu munne bawangaale bulungi bebeererewo beefiire bulungi kiba kitegeeza we are dealing with people with psychological problems. We are dealing with people abatannaba kubeera bantu bajjuvu kuba ye kennyini yeetegeera yekka yekka and they are proudly they actually say it out. Nze mu nsi eno yonna neemanyi nzekka ekyo kyokka you're sick tonnamanya kiba kitegeeza nti the fact that you're having that imperfection within you it is going to draw you to some imperfection. Guess what? You know what the Prophet told us sallallahu alaihi wasallam when it came to a lady? Prophet was like atokumanya nabbi yali mwenkanya yakuba side bbiri yatuwa guidance nga y'abakyala n'atusimbukiramu naffe abasajja. Ey'abakyala nabbi yagamba mu hadithi ya Abu Huraira sallallahu alaihi wasallam idha ja'akum man tardawna dinahu wa khuluquhu fazawwijuhu. If you ever get a chance of connecting with a man who is disciplined and he is pious, disciplined and pious, that alone qualifying okubeera bbaawo era wobeera muzadde tomulwisanga muwa omwana wo for two reasons. Omuntu omusajja alina ku ddiini who is pious, religious, and secondly ng'alinamu empisa, disciplined, that's gold. We are not like that women. The fact that we have the power, we are authoritative in nature, tusajjalata, the last thing you need in us ye discipline y'eddiini n'okubaako n'empisa obutawanda kukuba nga ntambula. That's the last thing you need in me. Kuba ekinaaba kyamaanyi gongalina ngakozesa n'okukukuba ekinantaasa y'eddiini nti maami totukubira mwana waffe kuba kimanyi nti Katonda amulaba. Kati olwaleero ekyo toyagala mmanya gw'osiimukira mu musajja alini mu Range Rover gyakusimula empi n'akuteeka mu AC ya Range Rover n'ekufuwako mu mpi ezo. Kituufu oba kyekiri? Young ladies are being punished for that. What makes us gold y'eddiini n'empisa, nti omusajja ayinayo discipline, nti waliwo supremacy emuli waggulu in line with taking good care of you, nga bw'aba akulyaza amaanyiza yeekuba mu mutima nti Katonda wange ndi mugamba ki. Eyo ddiini. Nga waabanga anyiize ekimujjira ku bwongo si kukuba luyi, kutambula kuviira buviizi kubanga takiinaamu kukuba, simbukira mwatagiina ku stress nga namwe mukyewaniramu nti kamu stressing nga lwaki takuba ggwe agenda kukuba by default kuba talina mpisa era talina ddiini. And you know what, that at the end of the tradition Prophet was like, illa taf'aluhu, if you don't do that, giving out your girls to pious religious men and disciplined men, takun fitna wa fasada fil ard. What you're doing to the society, kyotukolera maama waffe ne taata waffe w'omwana oyo omuwala, naawe muwala gwe bw'otalona musajja alina ku ddiini na mpisa, gwe kennyini gwe tabbu mu society. Reason being, this is the simple analogy. Bwe weekulira emyaka gya 25 35 ng'oli nnonomo oli mulamu, you need a male creature in your life. Bw'oba tomulina, at least you're going to choose immorality, ofuneyo agenda okukuzanyiranko buli weekend naye nga si wuwo, nga naawe okimanyi temulina kakwate, akukubira essimu naye duniya eno nga kiyama nno kituuse, kubanga waliwo n'abantu ba friends with benefit nga bo bakkaanya memorandum of understanding with immorality yaabwe nti tetweyagala, sikwagala nko naye tonjagala nko, naye nze bwe ntabuka bwe nti nawe n'otabuka, nkubira bukubiza essimu tukimalirize buli omu addeyo ewuwe. Ekyo weekiri. And you know why it's there? Olw'ensonga obufumbo obwo kati olwaleero buli omuntu ayina definition ye y'obufumbo. They are too biased negatively with marriage. Tusaba Allah abeere nga atuwa entegeero. That's how the society is going to be affected. Naddala ng'omwana omuwala akolinze off marriage. Ye kennyini agenda tufuukira ettabu be baana abagenda ozaalibwa without parents. This is the single mother story eriwo. You want our empathy, it's okay, we are going to give it to you. No worries. Kuba tukulaba olina omwana. How did you get to that? It's as a result of immorality. Allah oba tabugeredde kale omusajja kubanga talina nnyo makulu ng'akulekedde mwana awo oba nga yali bbaawo neyeegaana omwana oba kale nga omusajja afudde. Many, 95% of young girls are single mothering their kids olw'ensonga nti they turned out to be immoral. Fenga obusiramu tugamba nti nedda. The answer will always get back to marriage if we need morally upright people in our society. When it came to guys, Prophet was like, Ya ma'ashara shabab, O youths, man istata'a minkumul ba'a. Gwe wulira ng'olina obusobozi, you have the capability. Who told you that capability yali ategeeza ssente zokka? Olw'okubakaze economy ya Uganda kati edaaga. All of us obwongo bwaffe bwonna buddukira ku ssente, buli ogamba nti busobozi buddukira ku ssente. No. It goes beyond that. Don't squeeze the religion, positioning it in one position, ate ng'eddiini ebuna bingi. Obusobozi bw'omusajja, ssente, it's only part of it. Mulimu n'okubeera omukulembeze. Mulimu omusajja okuba nga ali responsible, nga ne wabeera mwavu, ng'alina discipline, okumanya nti mukyala we n'abaana be wadde nga basuze enjala naye nze abakuumye. That's a man we are talking about. Nga ne waba azirina naye ng'ekyo takikola, talina busobozi, fe obusiraamu tubumuggyako. Kati nabbi ng'agamba nti man istata'a minkumul ba'a, if you ever feel capable, you have the capability, you're a leader now, you've worked upon yourself as a guy, you can now lead someone, you can now provide for someone, you have the responsibility to work out. Ng'okimanyi nti you have some people under you that you're supposed to put smiles onto them regardless you're happy or you're not happy. فَلْيَتَزَوَّجْ. Go on and marry. As a man, you don't need to be good in order to give good back to your people. If it was a condition, fenna nkakasa singa tewali kyaggulo waka. Kuba bw'olowooza ku fees bw'oti oyo ka stress ng'oleka otya ssente waka, ng'ove waka ng'omukyala no kati mutabuseemukko, togenda mulekera za caayi kubanga okakasa muyombyeyombyemu. But a man we are talking of, nabbi gwagamba ow'obusobozi, muyomba ekiro n'akeera ku makya n'akuweeza ekyenkya, and he's like, I'm giving you this upkeep, sinti sinyiize nkyanyiize mukyala gwe, let me come back at night tubimalirize, but take the money. That's the capability we're talking of. How many of us literally understand the words of the Prophet in that angle? And my pain here is we turn out to translate his divine words to suit our interests respectively, which isn't right. And this is the guy that is being encouraged by the Prophet to marry. فَلْيَتَزَوَّجْ. And Prophet gave the reason as to why. If at all this guy marries, فَإِنَّهُ أَغَضُّ لِلْبَصَرِ. Check out where the immorality is swept off now. If this guy marries, that alone, the wife he is going to get, she's going to act as a source of contentment to this guy. If at all he thinks of playing biologically with someone, he won't go to anyone who is putting on a hijab. He has a wife at home. You see how immorality is being put off now. أَغَضُّ لِلْبَصَرِ. His role is to move around and see beautiful faces and beautiful niqabis, hijabs, and then after that he's like, okay, I have a wife at home. These are not my wives. Let me get back to my wife. She's my piece of contentment. And the second reason, وَأَحْسَنُ لِلْفَرْجِ. Immorality. You marry, that alone you're going to keep your chastity, your modesty, and actually divinely guarding your private parts. A Muslim guy who is morally upright minds where his body parts are heading to. You don't just sleep with anyone. That's for men. Some guy is there proudly saying, I'm single and contented. In a week, sleeping with more than 2 ladies. True or false? And we are registering men. No, you're not pen. Under men. Really? No, they are not. Same Bobby. You get the reason now. It's very possible to get to that, and you're doing injustice to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And you see how immorality is being put aside now, because the mother of immorality is granting our private parts access to some other people who are not us. No kukwata abantu we kutandikira. Some guy is there agenda mu gym aina amaanyi taina mukyala kyokka yanywa ebiragalalagala asimbukira mu gova ku ttarawe kuba agenda okulaba alabo nga process mpanvu atakwogereze ate weekyange ate ogaane ate simanya ate omulumi omutwe ng'ekyamangu kiri awo akusinga n'amaanyi ng'amaliriza nga agenda. Immorality. Why? Taina mukyala. Tusaba Allah abeere nga atuwa entegeera ng'eyo. And that's the approach of Islam. By default, we are going to call off immorality when we try to understand those profound, authentic traditions from our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, irrespective of gender. Now, before I switch to the verse I wanted to discuss today, there is this one factor I know. Even the married can be victims of the immorality. On a sad note, it's very possible for a guy to be married to a beautiful lady, and yet he is not contented with her. Just like it's very possible for a lady to get married to a gent, and maybe at the 11th hour, she ends up being disappointed. And then she's like, oh, okay, he's not my piece of contentment. Islam went further to even giving a solution to that. When it came to a guy, if at all, having this one wife is not reason enough for you not to go immoral, the provision of the second and third and fourth is there to just make sure you don't go immoral. Just to make sure you're not going to disrespect someone's daughter by sleeping with her without officiating her as a wife. Just to call off the immoral world. And what normally confuses me is our sisters, of course. Okay, naturally, of course, actually, but understand the approach of Islam. For Muslim, yedini etakolagana kona busegu na katono. Atengo olwaleero, wallahi alazim. Allah is my witness. I'm a consultant, Islamic law consultant. I handle issues. I know what I'm talking about. Many married men end up having kids outside marriage without even his own wife knowing. Babazula afudde. You see the immorality now? And do you know what that means? Olwokuba oba oliawo, this guy is not a man enough afeesinga ebbuba lyo naye nga tagenze kwebaka na muwala oba na mukyala gw'atawasizza. Ffe nga Musiraamu tugamba nti no, oyina options bbiri. If at all you won't marry, please stick on your one wife. You have no room kaneroze muko kanjira mbera konono ate mchala wange mukambwe nnyo ayagenda ko ne training ya majao ne mutendeka muko chaka ayinza okunzitamu omuntu ebyo bijja luvanyuma nefe ngomazo tuko society ya fomazo kubanga ogikola ogitereza. Come on, you're dealing with someone's wife, someone's daughter rather. Wabera muwalawo, would you like your daughter to be a public property? Ayagala yamwebakako. Oyagala kumanya nti waliwo omusajja atuta obuvunaanyizibwa nti muwalawo bw'alwala waliwo essimu gy'agenda okkuba ng'oli concerned okumutwala mu ddwaliro, si kwegayirira the story of the side dishes. I think you get the point. And ekyo kyokka, it's a step obusiraamu gye bwatwala to make sure immorality is not in play. Allah abeere nga atusaasira naye. Our society naddala olwaleero obubonero nno bwaggwayo dda obwa kiyama. Dr. Bashir simanyi oba okimanyi naye bwaggwayo dda era tobuwungeezanga nga tokoze tawuba. Allah ayinza otuzingirako awo nga tonnamanya. Kola mangu tawuba. Sisters here, it's better for a guy to come to you nakugamba njagala kutwala as a second wife than sleeping with you without talking about marriage. No salawo oba oli story ya polygamy ng'ogenda yes, oba toli story ya polygamy mugobe n'onyangu gyogenda okubeera namba etya. That alone in line with keeping our moral values as Muslims. So Allah aberenga atuwa that understanding. Allahumma amin. I normally reason out the polygamy case. Simu kuwakana naye, just make sense out of it. But I think inshallah, because time is not our ally, it will be another day. I want to use this verse. Let us understand it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran, Surah An-Nisa. If you're having the Qur'ans with you, let's go together. Surah An-Nisa, the 34th verse. Allah explained to us, as I'm winding up, explained to us the roles of men and women respectively when it comes to marriage. Because I understand the fact that people are having issues within their marriages, they're having challenges within their marriages. Probably someone thinks innocently that they're supposed to sleep in beds of roses when they switch to marriage. Ezo no film wezikulimbi. Banange, is it too hard for you to understand that someone you've spent 20 years or maybe 25 years tomanyi gyakulidde, tomanyi ayogera atya, ayina gyabadde for 25 years. Naawe ng'oyina gy'okulidde in another environment, a different setting, for 20 or maybe 25 years. What drama are you taking that is convincing you that you're supposed to reason, be in the same lane from January to December? It's impossible. That's not an achievable goal. Even your brother, your twin brother and twin sister, gwe mwafuluma naye ku dunia ne bawateeka ku dunia wetuti, mwekube ngumi. That alone is a factor for us to consider. Nti woba oyina bbaawo, woba oyina mukyalawo, okwawukana si eyinza okubeera ensonga. Wabula mwawukanye mutya? Mutuule wansi, muwakane bulungi awo, mukkanye. Tuwano tukkanyiza nti totegeera bulungi naye totegeera bulungi, naye katugende bwe tuti. Obufumbo nga butambula. But what the world is doing to us today, osanga omwana omuwala omuto yakayingira n'obufumbo myaka 2 mweja mwesatu ng'ayingira obufumbo n'amalayo omwaka nga gumu, n'ombuuza nti naye lwaki oyagala kweyambulula bbaawo oba oyagala kuvaayo? N'akugamba akagambo nti twabadde tuwakana on a TV show nga waliwo abali ku side eno na waliwo n'abali side eno. Nyabo gwe kwegamba obufumbo obutadde ku level ya TV show butandike n'okubaawula, otandike n'okulowooza nti you're not compatible because of that show. Tekijja, it's not fair. And all you're doing is you're disrespecting your partner. Kati Allah atunnyonnyola. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. الرجال قوامون على النساء. Men, Allah used the word qawwamuna. Men are having this degree of advantage over ladies. That's the nature. As a man, there is this degree of advantage you enjoy when it comes in positioning you with the ladies. And it's actually gained. It's not by default. There are stuff that you're supposed to do in order for you to enjoy that degree of advantage over them. Allah was like, Bima faddala Allahu ba'dahum ala ba'd. There are very many factors that differentiate between a man and a woman. And you will realize, if you have the medical background, like Dr. Bashir, that of course, the masculinity and the whole femininity story, that alone is a factor for you to consider, to know that we are different. But Allah gave a reason as to why. Where does the degree of advantage come from? وَبِمَا أَنفَقُوا مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ. It's because of what you give out in line with providing to them, to your wives, to your kids. As a man, you don't need a reason to provide to your wife. The fact that she's your wife, that alone is a reason for you to provide to her. Niwaba kuvumi. N'abaana nno bwe batyo. Bwe batakubuuza n'oba mmeekya emisana. You're supposed to give them. Find ways of imparting that discipline in them. Qawwam, that's the word Allah used. Actually, it's one of the attributes of Allah. But He borrowed a leaf from His own word. Nachitwazikako. Qawwamun. We are men in that angle. But we have a man who doesn't know where the kids study from. His own kids. We have a man who doesn't know how do his own kids put on. And Prophet actually gave the bad tidings to you, and he was like, you will not even enter paradise, because all you're doing to our society is immorality. If you're the head of the family who doesn't know what takes place under your roof, then something is wrong with our society. What you're supposed to do is to keep your people in check. And this is what is here. So now, before you even start pinning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you're like, nekati Allah no. Kati what's the whole point in being a man? Omukyala ne waba tampa kitiibwa, omukyala ne waba nga nvuma, nze mbeererawo nga ndiwo kumulabirira, kumuprovidingira, nga bwe muwaaniriza, nze nfuniramu wa. Before you do that, our God Allah is not unfair. Immediately, He started addressing the ladies. فَالصَّالِحَاتُ. Allah was like, when it comes to pious ladies, there is a reason as to why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressed ladies with the attribute of piety. As-salihatu. In Arabic, salahiyya literally means someone or something that fits its role naturally. This is a phone. It takes pics, it calls. The primary role of a phone is to call someone who isn't here. Even when it makes pictures, very nice pictures, and it can't give a call, is it still a phone? It's not. That's the same with a lady. You're working, it's okay. You're well positioned in society, it's very okay. Islam has no problem with that. At least, are you being a wife? Do you know what you're supposed to do? If you need a khutbah to breastfeed your own kid, and we are like, fasalihat, exactly, fasalihat, ladies who know what to do. And before you even start saying that omusajja no, what Allah is too unfair, this man is just too bad, ayende kuza omusajja ono si wavunanyizibwa, tampa sente zimmala, nakwongera n'ekitende ekirala, qanitatun. The lady qunut means the word qunut. A lady who is having this strong bond and connection with her creator. That alone, a lady who is having that connection with her own creator will never be the same like a lady who doesn't. And that's why when you're looking for them, we are like, fadfar bidhati din. Look for a lady who is having that bit of religion within her. Allah proceeds And he's like, حافظات للغيب بما حفظ الله. Fenna bafumba bali wano. If you want to know that our ladies, wives, have this power over our secrets, tutandika obba wakazindaalo wano. Bw'ogenda okumanyira ddala nti ndi wano njogera naawe nno, ompe ekitiibwa nno. Naye mukyala wange bw'atyuninga obutyuninzi bw'ati, n'aŋŋamba kati kanswaze, wallahi akituukiriza. And that's why Allah made it a point mentioning it, hafidhatu lilghaib. It's not for every lady. Ye mukyala amanya nti ateekeddwa okubaako ebyama byakuuma ensi byetamanyi ku munne. Are you the one? Naye olaba Allah engeri gyatukubamu emisumaali side zombiri lino yakatuvaako wano kalataatise ne kuba ki ne ku bakyala. Awo wonna nga yagala kutereeza society ebeere morally upright, abantu beefuneefune mangu wano ng'obwongo bwabwe bumanyi kye bukola ki kye bugendamu nga si kumala bumazi budde. And of course the ayah proceeds, but that's the gist of the matter. That's what wallati takhafuna nushuzahunna till it goes. But the gist of the matter was in the starting bit, the first half of it and the second half of it. As I'm winding up because of time, please, brothers and sisters in Islam, my seniors and juniors, let's learn that marriage is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, to the extent that even when you're tested to call off your previous marriage, don't deny yourself another chance to another marriage, because that makes us human beings. We really need someone to be with in our lives. We are human, too human to that level. The humanity within us, we need to live with someone. If that someone is not your parent, if they are not your brothers, if they are not your sisters, at least let them be your spouses, because at least they have some other roles to play that your relatives can't. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us that understanding. Thanks for indulging me. Hussein Ali Bula for my names. I'm an Islamic law consultant, lecturer at Islamic University in Uganda. Wa barakallahu fikum wa salam. I'm a father and a husband. Barakallahu fikum wa salamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.